A Remembrance Day message for all of mankind. Yeah, strange, isn't it? Think about it for a second. We all started with Adam and Eve. They had two sons, Cain and Abel. Yeah? One was a farmer, Abel. One was a person in control of animals, like sheep and so on. So what happens, as you know the story? Jealousy. The Lord gave us freedom of will, but one became jealous of the other. Cain killed Abel, as you know. Cain was cast out. Later on, nations later, hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years basically later, what happens? We have now nations controlled by a government we all elected. Within that situation, where you have still competition for resources, for water, for land, whatever. And what happens? We created rules to that government. We created soldiers to protect this message of life. However, we have large, we have small. People have much resources in their country, little resources in the other country. We form alliances. But sometimes alliances are questioned. Why do we have to give off resources to them or water for them? Why can't they find their own types of survival? Hence, war. War is fought over what? People, religion, resources, land, whatever. It's still a war. No matter where you live on this planet, from now or in the past, hundreds of thousands, let's say years ago, what happens? Competition. Competition is part of your free will. Nobody's asking you to do this or that. Are you forced to do this or that? Sometimes you are. But we always remember people who try to keep your peaceful coexistence with others. That's what we're trying to remember on Remembrance Day. Was it right? Was it wrong? Nobody wins in comes a situation of war. Nobody wins. People die by the thousands, perhaps millions, are eliminated to get rid of the so-called threat of coexistence. And what happens after wartime? People improve or not improve. That's all subject to what you think about when you call it Remembrance Day, isn't it? So when you're walking down the street and you see people in Canada wearing a red poppy, say thank you to yourself or the actual soldiers, or remembering of those soldiers who fought for you for your peaceful coexistence. Other countries are suffering right now as we speak. I cannot remember a time there wasn't a war on this planet. If we go by the Bible, there was only one time of peaceful existence, Noah's flood. Yeah, one family, that's it. When the flood was over after 40 days, we start all over again, don't we? I'm not asking for a flood again. I'm just saying very simple existence. Peaceful coexistence can be done. It really, really can. Any nation in the world. If we can cut back on the so-called competition and helpful for everybody to get along in coexistence, you wouldn't have any wars. You wouldn't. You would share the wealth, technology, water, resources, food, etc. There wouldn't be competition. There wouldn't be any poverty at all. Everybody would coexist properly. When I say properly, they'd learn to coexist. Otherwise, the inevitable, what happens? War. That's what happened during World War II in my parents' generation. The atom bomb came out. It was such a powerful weapon by one country, everybody was scared. If it can happen once, it can happen again. That's what happens during wartime. Are we supposed to remember these things? Yes. We don't want history to repeat themselves again. You've heard that expression. History has a tendency to repeat itself. We don't want to see that ever again. We don't want to hear thoughts about ever again. And sometimes you'll hear slogans, never again. Because people still remember what happened then. Doesn't matter if it's yesterday or 1,000 years ago. War is on everybody's mind when it comes to competition. Why? Because we have this inner nature of competition. We want more of something or someone. That's what jealousy is. But we have free will. We make that choice. That's right. It's not always forced upon us. We can say to ourselves, I don't want to make that choice today. I don't want to kill that person today. I don't want to take their possessions today. I don't want to. It's my choice. It's my free will. Just imagine if you didn't have free will. We call it communism. The government has control over everything. You can't move. You can't do this or that because the government has control. But remember, people vote in governments. They vote in hypocrisy. They vote it in. If they can vote it in, they can vote it out. So always remember why we celebrate Remembrance Day. It's not a celebration. It's a warning. It's really a warning what can happen again. No matter where you live on this planet, it doesn't matter. We have this inside our corpuscles, inside our competition needs, inside our genes, genetic structure, our freedom of will. It's up to you to make that choice. And one person can make a difference. If you don't want to do this, don't want to do that, without hurting somebody else in their belief, that's how it's supposed to be. That's what coexistence means. If we eliminate war, if we share the wealth with everybody, nobody should be starving on this planet. Nobody should be without food or shelter on this planet. That's how it should be. That's how it was hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. If it can happen once, it can happen again. This is a warning. Remembrance Day is a warning. We don't want this type of situation to happen again anywhere on this planet. Remember, we only have one planet, and that's all we've got, until the future generations discover other planets and so on. Because species of all kinds, every living being has a right to exist in coexistence. That's what Remembrance Day means. It's a warning. A brave statement that can happen because it's happened before, it can happen again. We don't want that to happen. That's what coexistence means. Getting along, exactly equal. That's the key. This is Lightning ESL signing off at brian.little324@gmail.com. For further information and further ideas, you're always welcome to call me. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.